Hello, everyone in the afternoon, good morning, wherever you are in the world. Welcome and happy International Women's Day. My name is Sam Murray, and I'm a project manager and a chair for the Intuit Women's Network here in London, UK. Our ERG's mission is to power prosperity for Intuit women employees and customers around the globe. And today, on International Women's Day, we want to celebrate the social, economic, cultural, and political achievements of women. And we're so honored to have the guests joining us here to do just that. Each year, this day serves as a powerful reminder of the progress made towards gender equality and highlights the work that still needs to be done. With this year's theme of Inspire Inclusion, we want to highlight the incredible achievements of women to celebrate diversity and empowerment on International Women's Day 2024 and beyond. First off today, we'll hear about an existing project Intuit has been working with the Sharir Blair Foundation, a global organization dedicated to ending gender inequality in business ownership by working to give women entrepreneurs the equal economic opportunities. Following that, we will hear from a powerful panel of small businesses who are MailChimp and QuickBooks customers. We've got Ali Kaminsky, founder of Modern Picnic, Melody and Tasia Stein, founders of MXT 2510, and Gardenia Woodhams Roberts, founder of Lola Etula. I've ordered these products from these businesses, and each of them are so amazing and unique, and I'm excited to put them to use. If you want to purchase some of your own, you can find the links to their websites posted in the Zoom chat, and be sure to stick around until the end for a little something from the IWN. Before we get started, here are a few things to note. We'll be opening up the floor for audience questions at the end, so please share your questions in the Zoom Q&A feature, and we'll keep an eye out at the end of our time together. And also keep an eye out for a surprise from the IWN at the end of the event. You will not want to miss this. And now I'll turn it over to Cassie to introduce Sean Hawkins from the Sharir Blair Foundation for Women, and then to moderate today's pop-up. Cassie, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Sam. I am so excited to be here with everyone today. We have just an amazing lineup of women to have an awesome conversation about entrepreneurship, and really ties in beautifully to this year's International Women's Day. As Sam mentioned, Intuit has partnered with the Sharir Blair Foundation on a research study that identifies women's common challenges and opportunities. And today, on International Women's Day, we have released the findings in a report called Bridging the Divide: Women, Technology, and Business Success. I'm honored to have Sean Hawkins, who is the External Affairs Director from the Sharir Blair Foundation, with us to share a little bit about the report before we dive into our Q&A. Sean.
Thank you so much for the introduction, Cassie, and happy International Women's Day, everybody. It's really amazing to be here with Intuit today, and also amongst some amazing women entrepreneurs, small business owners as well, to celebrate the launch of this really, really important report. I could talk to you about this report all day, but I know time is of the essence, so I'm going to try and keep it really short and sweet. I hope whoever's helping me with slides is ready to move across them quickly, but it would be fantastic if you could all spend some time looking at the report, if you're able to, picking out the sections that interest you, and of course, amplifying and sharing on social media where you can. So this report really represents and amplifies the voices of 1,156 women entrepreneurs across 81 low and middle income countries. And these are women coming from a range of sectors, industries, economic backgrounds, ages, and ethnicities. And through this report, we explore their key challenges and successes. And crucially, we're uncovering what the changes are that need to happen to ensure that women entrepreneurs are able to access equality in terms of economic opportunity. Next slide, please. So we looked at, firstly, at women's successes and challenges. And we asked them in 2023, what were the biggest successes, or what were the biggest factors contributing to their business successes? The majority of women told us that they were attributing their business success to improved access to business networks. And we know at the foundation just how important that peer-to-peer support is for women entrepreneurs and accessing business networks. And a quarter highlighted the importance of digital inclusion. We also asked about challenges, and this will probably won't come as a massive surprise to you, particularly the women entrepreneurs amongst the audience, but there is a massive gender gap in financing, and that isn't a big secret. And a quarter of women responding to this survey told us that that was their biggest challenge too. The macroeconomic environment had a huge impact on 13%. We know that's been incredibly tough the last few years. And 1 in 10 women have told us that retaining customers was a key challenge for them. Women also told us what they needed to improve their entrepreneurial experience. That's financial support, access to those networks, training and mentoring, which is one of the core programs actually provided by the foundation. Next slide, please. In terms of digital tools, we found a significant use of the internet and digital tools amongst our cohort, which is great, but costs and network disruptions and poor infrastructure is still far too big a challenge for far too many women. Interestingly, nearly all women were spending on digital tools. If you can move on to the next slide again, please. This slide shows us the kinds of tools that women entrepreneurs across low and middle income countries are largely using. So we can see WhatsApp has a clear predominance here. But the majority are spending up to $250 a year on these digital tools. And most of them express an intention to spend more this year. And we've done the sums, and this equates to a market size of around $30 billion for women entrepreneurs across low and middle income countries in terms of digital tool access. Next slide, please. We have a really, really interesting module, chapter in the report on AI. And for me, this is one of the most interesting pieces because it's extremely topical at the moment. And this, I'm really proud to say, is the first piece of research looking at AI access for women entrepreneurs across low and middle income countries, very specifically looking at those issues. And what we know is that what we found in the report, lots of women are already using AI tools or AI-enabled tools, but there is a really, really significant gap in training support that these women need. And what we know is that there is a huge gender gap already in AI access. And what we know now is that we need training to fill that gap. And we need to close that gap by providing the right kind of skills training in order that we can ensure that the completely transformational impact that AI can have on businesses across the world is felt by women as well as men. Next slide, please. Probably the most sobering part of this report is around online gender-based violence. And we felt that this was something really important for us to include because it's, a really good representation of the lived experiences that women are having. And unfortunately, we know gender-based violence is a global issue. It's a common experience, and online it's absolutely no different. Over 2/3 of our cohort reported experiencing gender-based violence in the online platforms, spaces and places they are conducting their business. And for 50%, more than 50%, they were telling us that was having an impact on their business. And for nearly 1 in 10 women, that impact was drastic. And 14% of women were experiencing that online gender-based violence on a daily basis. Next slide, please. So this final slide just has some of our calls to action here, and we really wanted to make sure that there was some really important changes that we've identified that we can be calling for the international community support with. So that's around training, digital inclusion, safety in online spaces. We've already had some fantastic media coverage of this report this week already, which is brilliant, really amplifying those women's voices. And the foundation CEO and myself will be attending the Commission on the Status of Women convening in New York next week at the UN headquarters, where we will be amplifying this research report, these findings, these calls to actions throughout our whole program of events that week. So finally, I just want to say another huge thank you to Intuit for the invaluable support with this research piece. It's been really, really wonderful working with your team, actually, a real pleasure. And we're really looking forward to building on this important partnership in the future. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you for sharing, Sean. And thank you to you and the entire Cherie Blair Foundation for Women for the incredible work you do. We've linked the report in the Zoom chat, and we'll be sharing it in social channels today. If there's something that resonates, we'd love for you to amplify the report itself or any of the great nuggets. Intuit has a great stake in these issues and a tremendous opportunity to inspire inclusion for women all over the globe. There's so much that we can do to address the digital literacy gaps around AI and related technologies and provide ongoing support that in combination with other issues will help move us forward in terms of gender equality. With that, I'm excited to have you all hear from firsthand accounts from women who have started their own entrepreneurial journeys, and as Sam said, make some amazing products, make and sell amazing products that we would love for you to pick up. And as she mentioned, Intuit Women's Network members should stay till the end. So I'd love to take a step back and hear from each of you about the moment that you knew you wanted to start the business that you've started. How did you make that decision to take the leap into entrepreneurship? And Garnidia, why don't we start with you?
Hello, good morning. Thank you for having me. I'm going to jump right into your question because I do have a vivid memory. First off, my background was in sales for global brands, huge marquee brands, you know, Ralph Lauren, Oscar de la Renta, and there was this skill that I had of telling stories, which is basically what a good salesperson can do. And I often wished I could tell a story relatable to me, which was difficult in fashion and in many industries. And like a lot of women, I became a mother and had that choice of sticking to my career or, you know, being a bit more flexible with my family. And in the back of my mind for years, I had wondered how I could incorporate my story into my skill set, into this future vision life I wanted for myself, for my family, professionally, personally. And once I became a mom, you know, things became quite clear. And the trend at that time started to really shine a light on what I always wanted to do, was to kind of have a platform for the handmade slow fashion movement that started to percolate at that time. And so when that happened, it was like, I think this is our moment. And I started with a small, tiny idea, and it evolved into a women's fashion brand, which I still can't believe sometimes.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing. Allie, how about you?
Yeah, hi guys, my name is Ali Kamenetsky. I am the founder of Modern Picnic. We make insulated vegan leather lunch boxes for women, so you can bring your food wherever you go. No one would ever know what's inside. We have a bunch of different shapes, sizes, totes, backpacks, etc. Started the company completely out of a personal need. When I graduated from college, I was working in the fashion industry in New York City and was bringing my lunch to work every day, just because, especially as a recent graduate, doing so is faster, cheaper, and healthier. Plus, all the girls in my office are doing it. So I was like, I have to start doing this too. But when I went online to buy myself a lunchbox, I saw options for little kids and men, but none for women who wanted to look good or do good. So given the options on the market, from there, the idea to start Modern Picnic was born. I was only 22 when I thought of the idea, and it took me 2 years from idea to actually launching. And yeah, we're going on our 6th-year anniversary soon, which is kind of crazy.
Congratulations. And thank you for sharing. I am excited to have upgraded my lunchbox, which is basically one that my 12-year-old hadn't used anymore, to something much more sleek now, thanks to you.
Yes.
Melody and Tasia, what about you? Let's hear about the story of MXT 2510 and including the meaning behind the name.
Yes, so MXT 2510 basically started during COVID. So I was actually studying abroad at the time in Rome, and then I went over to Australia. And while I was in Australia, I was getting news about COVID. And I was like, oh boy, I'm definitely going to get sent back home now. And I did. So I got sent back home, and I was at home with my mom, and I was studying for a degree in marketing. And I was thinking like, no one is going to hire me right now. Everyone who already had years of experience is currently getting laid off. Why would they hire me? Like about to graduate, college student in marketing. So I always had a passion for fashion. And my mom also previously wanted to start something in fashion, but held on to that dream. And we decided to start up this clothing brand together with one thing in mind, sustainability. So that was something really important that I learned through my journey at Arizona State University. I did minor in fashion as well. So in one of my classes, something really that stuck out to me was one of my teachers was telling me, you know what the most popular color in fashion is based off of in some of these really small towns that specialize in dyeing fabrics and everything like that. You can tell what the most popular color is based off the water in their small towns because it's just, you know, damaging the water system. And that just made me feel so sad that there had to be a better way to go about this. So we make small batches of clothing, all sustainable. And our whole brand is about collections inspired by our travels. My family likes to travel a lot together. So, but my dad is very impatient, I will say, and doesn't like us to travel in big oversized bags. We have to carry everything on. So being strategic about what we place in our carry-on bags is very important. And what better way to do that with elevated basics that you can mix and match. So that's how we started our brand. And I'll let Melody explain the meaning behind it.
This is Melody, and we did Melody MXT for Tasia MXT, and then 2510 actually is related to the hand shapes in ASL. 2 for both of us, 2 of us. 5, the hand shape for women is W, and then 10 is the hand shape for founders, and that's what we came up with for our name.
Oh, that's so neat. Thank you for sharing. All of you, it's amazing how much is common about all of your businesses. There's lots of connection to fashion and most importantly to a more sustainable, inclusive future. I love that. Gardenia, from the Cherie Blair report, one thing we got a lot of insight into is challenges female entrepreneurs face around the world, and everything from access to tools and training and financing, keeping customers. I'd love to hear from you. What are some of the challenges that you face in running a business, and what inspires you to wake up and take them head on?
Ooh, how much time do you have? I know, old joke. Running a small business, we wear many hats. We are, I'm the president of every department, so that's challenging. Everything that you touched upon in the report absolutely rings true. At this point, with Lola y Tula, we are definitely trying to scale and grow, which requires finance, staffing, all of that great stuff. And there are not as many opportunities. And so it is quite challenging. Also trying to remain true to your, integral mission, as far as like for our brand of being handmade and working with indigenous artisans in Mexico, and yet finding ways to produce and grow and meet the needs of our growing customer base. And so I think within any rewarding job, there are challenges. And I like to look at challenges as an ability to grow. You got to have a positive outlook on it. So struggling is part of the stimulating process. It kind of feeds me creatively. I think that's how we all manage here. Like, why do we do it? Why do we get up in the morning? Because we need to solve the problem. We want to see how we can get to that point B from point A. And so I find it, I'm in it for the fun of it, and I'm in it for the learning process and still being able to solve that issue or problem ever since that very first date. Let's see how far we can take it. Let's see if we can do what I think we can, and it drives me, like probably all of the women here, solving that initial issue and need.
That's awesome. I recently heard the longtime famous Duke basketball coach Mike Krzyzewski, Coach K, speak, and he talked about how you can have a mindset that pressure is a privilege. You know, you've gotten to great heights, and there's a great opportunity and responsibility to keep going and compete, and all of you definitely are in that position. One of the things in the report was the power of community. And Allie, I'd love to hear from you where, you know, professional, online, any sort of network and community played a role in your business and success to date.
Yeah, absolutely. Community is everything. Modern Picnic is a community-driven brand, and I can say with certainty, I would absolutely not be where I am today or would have been able to build Modern Picnic to what we've built it so far if it wasn't for the close-knit group of strong female founders, my female-led advisory board, and everyone else who is guiding me through the trials and tribulations of owning my own business. And community, I think, can mean like so many different things for different people. It can be the connections consumers feel to their peers or connections they feel to the brand themselves, but that emotional tie is so powerful. And for Modern Picnic, we really try to connect with our customers across like multiple different touch points, both online and offline, and make it a focus to really like seek feedback and have clear lines of communication so we can grow alongside our customers and community. And within Modern Picnic, actually, if anybody's interested, we do have an ambassador program of almost 1,000 like-minded, amazing group of women. And you get early access to products, you get invited to events, a WhatsApp group, a Facebook group. So if anyone in this group, I know you're working for these amazing organizations, but if you're seeking like a bit more, looking to expand outward into a community-driven program, you can check out our ambassador program online, but it's amazing. But yeah, community is key. I always say like your network is your net worth, and surrounding yourself with just strong, powerful women like the people on this dialing in today.
Just amazing. I had never heard your network is your net worth. I love it. I love it. Melody and Tasia, one thing I wanted to touch on with you, we heard a lot in the report of, you know, when women face a lot of challenges, sometimes skepticism of the power of what women can do. I'd love to hear, especially you've been in, you know, some industries with some gender dynamics, you know, what advice do you have for women who might be thinking about taking the leap or are early in their entrepreneurial journey, some wisdom to pass on to those women?
Yeah, definitely. I remember when I was sharing my dream, I wanted to own a business, right? I was sharing it with a male, and he said, no, you should stay home and take care of your children. Owning a business is not really for a woman. And I thought to myself, wow, that stuck with me. And so that motivated me to start up a business. And obviously I had a huge fear of failure, thinking, can I do this? Because, you know, I remember this man telling me that I shouldn't do this. And I changed that into fire to drive my motivation into starting this business. And I was thinking to myself, I know myself best, and I know what my vision is. And I think it's important that we network and have a supportive system around us so we don't feel so alone when we're meeting other women who share the same dreams, correct? And grow together as well. I think that's really important.
If I had been typing in the chat, I would have contributed to the many fire emojis that are flowing based on your comments. Thank you for sharing. I'd love to go around the virtual room and hear from each of you about some of the big goals that you have for your business in, you know, looking ahead this year or in the years to come. So Allie, why don't we start with you?
Yeah, so for Modern Picnic, that's definitely wholesale retail expansion. So we started as a D2C brand in an effort to prove the concept, build the brand equity, but most importantly, tighten up our supply chain. When I started, I was shipping out of my parents' garage. So even if we had the opportunity to sell with a Saks or Bloomies, we would never have been able to execute on it. But now we're ready and able and excited to expand into retail and distribution partners and really leverage their exposure and visibility and distribution. And so started that strategy in 2023. We are now sold in Saks, Bloomingdale's, Container Store, and a couple of boutiques around the country. But if anybody on this call has a store in their town that they love, that they think Modern Picnic would be a good fit for, let me know, because we're trying to expand that part of the business.
Ooh, I love it. We'll crowdsource ideas. I've got one for you in San Francisco in my neighborhood.
You did? Where? Oh, we can talk about it.
We'll talk about it. We'll talk about it. What about the goals for Melody, you and Tasha this year? Tasia this year?
Yes, so our goals are also to expand more in wholesale and retail as well. We are now currently in a boutique hotel in Los Angeles at the One Hotel. So they're also a sustainable, eco-friendly hotel. So it's awesome that it's sharing the same sustainability vision. So we'd love to see our clothes in more travel hotel boutiques, since we are travel based. So we have a Miami collection that I'm currently wearing the tank top right now. So seeing our Miami collection in Miami would be so cool. And hopefully for building our future international collections. Right now, we only have 3: Los Angeles, San Francisco, and Miami. So building out our international ones like Greece, Hong Kong, and other ones that we have in mind would be amazing.
I love that. All right, Gardenia, what about you?
Oh, can you guess? I think we all have a similar narrative here. After several years of direct to consumer here as well, online only, we are now looking and poised to break into wholesale in a grander scale, which is highly challenging when you make handmade products imported by indigenous makers. So for us, the challenges are always keeping true to those channels of business that we have, which those relationships are so precious and amazing, and they give us these fabulous, gorgeous, one of a kind of items, but also kind of rounding out those collections. You know, all these awesome ladies who come from a fashion background know, like, you have your bestsellers, the things that really drive your business, your bread and butter, but also there are things that you can collect around it that really help tell your story, help kind of communicate the brand in ways that perhaps can fill voids and gaps that you have in production, in your planning. So kind of expanding areas in that. So, but very similar to these ladies. So, I mean, maybe this is all good luck for all of us. This is going to be our jumping point, and we're all going to just be distributed everywhere after this conversation.
I think so. I think so. And I love, you know, in some areas, the extent to which we can activate this audience to advocate on your behalf. So whether you join the community Ali mentioned, or we just share ideas, or talk to our local shop owners, I would love to help support this global expansion for all of you.
Yay.
Well, you all are here in addition to be just amazing people and leaders and entrepreneurs. You are also our amazing customers. And the digital tools was a big part of the report that Sean talked about today, and the power of technology and its potential for women. And that gets to the heart of our mission as a technology company to power prosperity. I'd love to hear from each of you. In your experience, what are some of the ways that MailChimp or QuickBooks have helped you when it comes to running a business? And Ali, maybe we can start with you.
Yeah, so I will never forget the first thing when I launched Modern Picnic, or before, somebody told me, they're like, okay, Ali, get a QuickBooks subscription like right now and learn how to do it. And so QuickBooks has just been like an incredible partner from the start, not just by having like such an amazing software that makes it easy, manageable, digestible, and affordable for small business to manage their expenses, get paid on time, have transparency into their financials, but also by having programming like this. Like, it's really incredible organization to work with. This is such an example of like putting your money where your mouth is. We work with like a ton of different like software companies and agencies and across the board, and like to put on programming of this level is such a testament to the organization that you guys work at and we work with. It's just so amazing. And I think another thing that is just been so appreciated about QuickBooks is just how user friendly it is and non-intimidating it is to use as someone who might not come from a financial background. And so it's just great and so grateful for this opportunity. Like, wow, this is amazing. But an amazing day to celebrate International Women's Day.
Well, thank you for your kind comments. And you can also tell me, we won't air all of the grievances in this chat, but I also want to hear from you if there's anything that we can do to support you better. Gardenia, what about you?
Oh my gosh. Well, I was thinking about my MailChimp days, and basically, for several years, that was the entirety of my marketing department. And so we learned everything quickly and easily because it is, as our colleagues were saying, just so easy to use, and, basically became like a graphic designer with the tools I had at my hand. And I don't know where we'd be without it. All we do is communicate online and digitally. And I actually had a background in wholesale. So this was a business I had to learn from scratch, and it was available to me. The path was there because programs like that were in place. And so, I mean, I don't even know where we would have been in the first 3 years if we didn't have things like MailChimp, that constant communication that I had with my customers, and understanding the importance, like with the analytics behind it, was very robust, and trying to learn your customer base and understanding. I mean, things like, I remember first opening, it was like, okay, click rate. Okay. Like literally it's like 101, and it worked. I mean, it got us to where we needed to go. So I'm internally grateful, and we're still, I mean, it's all that we need and use for marketing purposes with our customer base.
That's wonderful to hear. Melody and Tasia, what about your experiences?
Yeah, so I remember when I started my very first business, I was actually using paper and pencil to keep track of all my sales. It became ridiculous very quickly. And then someone told me about QuickBooks, and it changed. And they said it's going to change your life. I was like, really? I'm not quite sure. I'm not good with numbers. I'm afraid. So I decided to give it a try, logged in, and you know what? It was amazing. I've worked with many different platforms for revenue, and it was so easy to have it all linked to QuickBooks. It could pull reports easily. And something, I don't know if you understand, but QuickBooks has lots of different providers that they use, and they actually have deaf providers. So, excuse the interpreter, pro advisors. That was incorrect. So they have deaf pro advisors as well. And so I was able to reach out to a pro advisor, and they were able to explain accounting to me in my own American Sign Language. I love QuickBooks. It's been amazing.
I love hearing pro advisors. For anyone who isn't familiar with that term, are our certified professional accounting professionals who work with QuickBooks. I love that you found somebody who was right for you, and wonderful to hear your comments. Thank you to all of you for being customers. It is why we show up to work every day to do what we do, is to be some small part of amazing stories like yours as you run your businesses. I want to shift gears to International Women's Day. It is a celebration of the social and economic and cultural and political achievements of women, and a call to action to continue making progress, to progress towards gender equality. And this year's theme is Inspire Inclusion, underscoring the vital role that inclusion plays in that pursuit. And I'd love to hear from each of you what that means to you, what you'd like it to mean as people think about inspiring inclusion this year. And Gardenia, maybe we can start with you.
That's such a fabulous theme. I feel like we live it every day here at Lolaitula. And even like that report was so dead on with a lot of things that we see on a daily basis. We communicate with our indigenous artisans regions across Mexico via WhatsApp, like constantly, and really support and give back in financial microfinancing ways. And it's kind of incredible. A lot of these women that we work with, these cooperatives, women in Oaxaca and Chiapas and all these glorious places, they're becoming, you know, breadwinners of their family. They have an ability with their digital access, how minimal it may be, to have business, you know, in their pockets and be able to communicate with me, you know, easily, effectively. And we then are able to finance some of the programs that they can even access. We give back to organizations regionally that support these indigenous women and how to finance future businesses, whatever scale, whether it's, you know, cooking, whether it's producing goods like we make in leather and in textiles. And so it's just this circle. I always call it the circle of benefit, which is very similar to inspiring inclusion, because, you know, I do this because I love it, because I understand it, because it tells my story. And then somebody who loves it purchases it. And with that purchase, it has a purpose. It provides my maker to continue on in her business. And it just goes on, you know, as we support one another and celebrate that inclusion, celebrate those different cultures, which I'm happy that now people really can single those things out. People are seeking those cultural stories to wear in their wardrobe, you know, and it's an incredible time for me to be a part of that. So it's very much a privilege, and I look forward to more stories of inclusion and being a part of those.
Of that. Tasia and Melody, would one of you like to share what inspire, or both, inspire inclusion you want it to mean and what it means to you?
Yeah, I can answer that. So inclusion is very important to us. It's representation is important. We represent women, and also we are deaf. I want to show you something really quick. These two things that I'm holding up. So when, let me hold them up a little bit longer here. So when a customer buys our product, we will send them a thank you postcard. And we actually looked and found a deaf artist that made these beautiful postcards, so that when people get this, we want them to feel inspired that they purchased our product, and they also have this beautiful piece of art made by a deaf artist.
And I also wanted to add as well, many people might think that the fashion industry is dominant of women, but I wanted to put up the quote because I didn't want to mess it up, or the statistic, I guess. Actually, only 14% of the top 50 fashion brands are run by women CEOs, and also, I believe 40% of women's wear fashion is designed by women, actually. And that's talking about women's fashion. The cool thing about us being able to design our clothing is that we can bring into account things like, for instance, our shorts. We built them a little bit, or designed them a little bit longer in the back for more coverage. Or our pockets, we built them to be bigger to fit your phone in them. Something that I had an issue with in the past, of pockets being so tiny, it can fit like a singular penny. So that's something that was really important to us, and an interesting statistic. And I hope that it changes, especially during post-pandemic. I believe a lot more women are involved in entrepreneurship and business.
Thank you. Okay, Allie, I'll turn it to you.
Yeah, I love that, inspire inclusion. I think inspire inclusion means to me really kind of fostering an environment where everyone feels valued, involved, and respected for their ideas, perspectives, and experiences that they bring. So like in an inclusive work environment, for instance, like employees, team members know they're such like an integral part of the team, and believe that like differences in backgrounds are strengths, not weaknesses. And so that's what it means to me.
I love it. You are all so inspiring, and you offered such great texture to inspire inclusion. You know, as I read the International Women's Day Charter, it was really a a call to action to all of us to take action in dismantling barriers and challenging stereotypes and cultivating environments where all women are valued and respected. But I think one of the most powerful ways we can support each other and be part of this circle of benefit is to support businesses like yours, because I think, you know, all of you in the audience have heard how these women then support a larger community of women, and there's just this amazing virtuous cycle happening, and I love that circle of benefit. So that is a great way to begin to vote with our dollars or our recommendations to stores. So thank you to all of you. Thank you all of you for spending time with us. I love your inspiring stories. I've gotten so many pings that it would be great for the audience to get to ask you some questions. So I will make sure we transition to that. But before I do, to our employees and Intuit Network members, the network has a goal of raising $50,000 for organizations that support financial literacy for women around the world. You heard how important that is in some of the Cherie Blair Foundation report findings. And so make sure to ask your local network chair for any activities going on. There is a campaign page in our We Care and Give Back portal where we've highlighted which nonprofits and organizations we're supporting. And so we will pop that link in the chat, but encourage you to give to those amazing organizations during Women's History Month. And as you know, Intuit will match it. So we can raise that money together. And then lastly, Humera Shahid, our Chief Diversity, Inclusion, Equity Officer, will be sharing the report from Cherie Blair in social channels. I'd encourage you to share it and amplify the findings. And with that, Adrienne, I will hand it to you for Q&A.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Cassie, for leading such a great conversation with our small business owners. For those of you I have not met, my name is Adrienne Barrett. I am the proud co-chair of Plano Sites Intuit Women's Network, and I'm also, in my day job, not my yay job, a senior sales and people leader within PTG Sales. And we definitely want to make sure that we have time to get your questions from this amazing audience right back to our amazing small business owner panel. So please do put your questions into the Q&A feature. And it looks like we've already got one waiting for us from Heather White. For those businesses that make clothing, what is your size range? And so I will hand that to, I'm going to start with Melody and Tasia, and then we can go to Gardenia.
Yeah, definitely. So we offer a size range from extra small to 3X. And we also have a size chart on our website. So it's easily looked at and it'll show you all the measurements of all of our clothing.
Fabulous. And for us, we have a little bit more challenges in the sizing because the entirety of our collection is handmade by Indigenous artisans in Mexico. And so, for example, the shirt I'm wearing is hand loomed. And so the looms are literally backstrap looms. They tie around their waist to a post and are looming it, kind of, you know, just creating the textile by hand. So you can imagine how big these panels can get for a person to actually hold. Having said that, we are now really working with these ancient methods and evolving to start including larger sizes to include for all of our customers. And so we are now changing a bit and affecting ways that they're making things for us, which is really fun. And they're just as interested. They're really open to how we can, you know, be more inclusive in our sizing. So for the most part, the majority of our stuff is like a one size. So it's quite easy from extra small through larges. And sometimes we do have some extra large sizing, but it is something we are looking into on a daily basis. So
Love that. And love the size inclusivity. And Gardenia, while we're here, we do have a question from Ted Drake, who's asking, when will you start including men? Because if you'll make that Jaguar jacket for a man, he is definitely going to wear it.
Hey, who says it isn't for a man? Go for it. I mean, it's we're getting to a point where things are just fluid and available. I absolutely want to get into men's shoes immediately. Our shoes are actually our best seller. And I don't know how many times every woman is talking about how she wants to get it for her husband or her boyfriend or her sons because they all want it. And especially living in a coastal city, they're pretty amazing. So be on the lookout. And again, get whatever you want. There is no men, women. So have fun.
Love that. Love that. And that's definitely so true, especially with MXT 2510. And Allie, what about you? What is on the horizon for you with lunch totes that are maybe more gender neutral or inclusive to our male allies and supporters here at Women's Network?
Yeah, so we have our tote bags that come in a bunch of different colors, and these can be worn by anybody. We also have backpacks, which are gender neutral, and we have these insulated pouches. We have food containers now that are designed to fit perfectly inside, so there's really no, here, I'll show you guys. There are no gender, anybody can use Modern Picnic, and yeah.
Love that. Love that. And so, Allie, while we're here, we're talking about containers. We have a question from an anonymous attendee, but I love this question. And they ask, what is something that you do to fill your cup? Or let's say in this case, your container when you're feeling drained.
I like that, fill the container, not the cup. So for me, I live in New York City, and like going outside and walking like along the water, the West Side Highway, for anybody who's in New York as well, like I need that. And so that really fills up my cup, going outside, getting fresh air, getting movement, making sure I'm making time for like my friends and my family, and knowing when it's time to just step away for a second, because things can get crazy as with everywhere and everything. And so just like making sure you're taking care of yourself and filling up your container.
Love that. And Tasia and Melody, I'd like to ask the same question of you with a slightly different spin. We had a question on from Faye. What keeps you motivated?
Yeah, I can talk about what keeps me motivated is seeing our products on people. We love when people tag us, or if we're at a different pop-up event, because we do a lot of pop-ups, someone will pass us and be like, oh my God, I got something from you guys at like this other place and I love wearing it. It's so great. And to me, that keeps me motivated. And also when we're at these different events, we have a big sign that says, emphasizes that we're women owned, Asian owned, deaf and CODA owned. So whenever we see people recognize the deaf and CODA owned, we love when people come up to us and start trying to sign, or they say they know someone who knows sign language, or they know someone who's an interpreter or anything like that, that we love to hear that and that they want to share our story. So that keeps me motivated for our clothing business.
Love that. Love that. And so taking that, knowing that your customer support helps to keep you motivated, with that similar thought, Gardenia, what can we do as Intuit employees, and what can our allies do, our IWN allies and supporters do to help support not only your business, but other women-owned small businesses?
I mean, that's an excellent question. I mean, I think what we're doing right here is phenomenal. The minute you get women in a group setting, you'll notice the same story being told over and over again. We don't get here by ourselves. We need support. We need others. I love this idea of advisors that we go to and being available. I think a lot of people sometimes are intimidated to share, or intimidated to, or maybe they don't think they have enough to give, or to be a guide. And it's just not true. Every conversation professionally with others who have similar experiences or who have resources to share can impart so much knowledge and wisdom with their experience. And so keeping the pathways open, having platforms available for conversation, for experiences is always key. And so being a part of this is I've learned so much just listening to all of you. And it inspires me to share that with the next person. And so continuing in these community engagements is really amazing and key.
Awesome. I love that. So really, in a way, we need to come up with an Intuit Women's Network for our small business customers who are female owned. We just have to keep spreading this love. And Allie, back to you. When you think about again, ways that you can support, did you have a mentor or supporter early on in the building of Modern Picnic?
Yeah, definitely tons of unofficial mentors and advisors that I would go to when starting Modern Picnic. But I would say one of the best things I could have done for my business was in 2020 establishing an official advisory board and making it official with some of these like incredible women leaders that I was talking to. So I can make sure that it was a two-way street and that they were getting value out of it too. And really, like right before this, I came off of a call with one of my advisors, and like the insights I've been able to get from them and the learnings they've been able to share and their experiences from these other women who have done this before and have had successes, had failures, is just there. You can't put a number on it. And so if anybody is looking to start a business, you don't even need to be starting a business. I think having like a strong support network around you is just like so important. You can learn more about Modern Picnic's advisors under our story page on our website.
Thank you. And we've got time for one more question, and we've had a question come through, again, an anonymous attendee. And Melody and Tasia, I'd like to hear your answer to this, is how do you ramp up on marketing technology, such as identifying and implementing solutions in order to scale your business? Could you please share some examples?
Yeah, definitely. Our goal when we started our business during COVID, we saw a huge challenge getting the word out, right? So at that time, a lot of businesses and everything was closed. So we didn't know how to really advertise our brand. So we obviously depended everything on social media, and that's how we found new clientele through social media where they've never seen it in person. So we had to wait a couple months to finally do pop-ups in person. And we were so excited to finally set up a booth there. And we were able to get, customers' feedback on the clothing, and for that word to spread and get, honest feedback to continue improving our brand. And from there, we started kind of doing different demos around, different cities to kind of get a better idea of what our next brand was, or our next idea was going to be, and be more focused on marketing efforts. Anything to add, Tasia?
I think we also, yes, we focus mostly on social media to post and market everything. Some of the cool things we were able to do is when we posted different reels, seeing which ones had more engagement and interaction. So some of the ones that we found were more educational based, kind of explaining our journey of how we learned. We don't have a background in fashion really, or previous work in fashion. So we were really learning everything from scratch during COVID, calling different manufacturers and collaborating with them on our designs. So we posted some of our different sharings on how we came up with the boat neck t-shirt that Melody has on. That was actually, we had to do it 3 times to get it finally right. And we noticed that there was a lot of engagement in that, as well as showing what you can actually wear these outfits with. So we found those posts to be more successful and continue to do those posts so that our followers could interact and engage with us.
Awesome. And that's such a powerful reminder that we all test in, we lean in, and you learn as you go. And somebody told me once, the surest way to progress is messy action. And I think, hearing your stories and the transparency about you learned throughout every venture is just so powerful. And thank you so much for being with us today, sharing your stories. And just again, huge thank you to Gardenia, to Allie, to Melody, Tasia, and to you, Cassie, for taking time out of your day to be with us here as we celebrate International Women's Day with our business pop-up.